So this is the setup that I think a lot of you have been waiting to see. And unlike a normal video, I am not just going outside, grabbing a couple test shots and calling it a day. Because I actually brought this setup to a real life wedding and shot with it alongside my 𝗬𝗧𝗨𝗙𝗙 and a couple pics. In this video, I want to talk about this setup, of course, show you the results and see where the setup is going. And real quick, I just want to say that this video is not sponsored at all, but it is supported by all of you who have previously supported one of my guides or my brand new LUT pack. If you want to learn how to take your phone footage to the next level, learn DaVinci Resolve, I've got all my guides at a really solid discount right now, so head in the link in the description below to learn more about those. All right, so let's talk about the setup. Of course, we have the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Technically at the wedding, I had the iPhone 17 Pro because, well, if you follow me on Instagram, you know the whole story. But technically, hadn't swapped out for the Pro Max yet, but that doesn't change anything. They're the same cameras. Great. The cage is the Beastgrip Pro. You've seen me use this thing for so many years now, I think since like the iPhone 12 or something. This cage is great because it's universal for basically any phone out there. If you don't want to be buying a new cage or case every year, then this is the one you want to go for. But if you want something that is like solid metal, perfectly fitted for the specific phone you have, then you want to wait for the Beast cage. At least in terms of weight for the 17. I will have a video on that specific cage and this whole updated setup very soon. But for now, this is what works with the 17. Of course, the main thing that makes the extra lens possible is Beastgrip's DOF adapter. This is the Mark III version. I know this thing is always going in and out of stock. Very hard to get your hands on one of these, it seems. Now, this is my 𝗬𝗧𝗨𝗙𝗙. This is not the lens that I used for the wedding. I actually used the new 𝗬𝗨, why am I blanking on the lens name? It's the new 1.5 anamorphics. Actually come with a EF mount that you can swap out the PL for. So I utilized the 45mm anamorphic lens on there, just added so much extra character to the overall look. Now, the last part of the setup that I actually did not have on the wedding day, and I'll tell you why in a second, is the Blackmagic Pixis monitor. So for those of you who don't know, you can literally open up the Blackmagic camera app, plug in the USB-C cable to the Pixis monitor, or actually the 𝗬𝗧𝗨𝗙𝗙 EF, not EF, the 𝗬𝗧𝗨𝗙𝗙 EVF. It just works. You actually don't even have to use the Blackmagic camera app. It kind of just mirrors your phone. But when you open up the camera app, it will flip it the right way. Unfortunately, the touchscreen controls don't have any effect. Basically just turns into a monitor, but this is very nice if you are trying to film yourself. So the reason that I did not use the monitor at the wedding is because I've yet to find an adapter that supports the proper display protocol, as well as allows you to use an SSD. And usually one of them is USB 3.1, which is the 10 gigabit per second. That's going to be for your SSD. And then there's usually one or two USB 2.0, which still supports things like external mics. But unfortunately, only a couple adapters that I've gotten the monitor to work with only work when using the USB 3.1 port. They do not work on the USB 2.0 port. And of course, unfortunately, as we all now know, you can't record ProRes RAW internally yet, besides that little hack that I made a video about last week, without an external SSD. So I knew that I wanted to record ProRes RAW, especially filming a wedding. And so for me, that definitely trumped over having a secondary display at a slightly more convenient angle. So to finish the setup, I did utilize my favorite SSD for the iPhone that I've been using the past couple of years, and that is the Lexar Pro SSD right here. But now let's get into some results here. So technically, I recorded a bunch of different setups with the phone on the wedding day. Of course, I did a lot with the DOF adapter because I knew it was going to be a cool stylized look and I really wanted to get some solid test footage of it. But I also wanted to see what just the regular iPhone lenses with nothing more than the phone in a basic phone gimbal running around. I think it was the Zhiyun M3, which is a couple years older at this point. I didn't have any ND filters for it because, again, I just don't have any accessories that are sized for the 17 yet. So I ended up cranking the shutter in the really bright sunny spots, just hoping for the dynamic range, testing out Apple Log 2. This was as bare essentials as it got for a lot of it. So for like the ceremony, I didn't use the depth of field adapter at all. And cutting between the 𝗬𝗧𝗨, the Pixis, and this, you can see that makes for an excellent C cam. I mean, when the part of the ceremony was happening where I knew the kiss was getting close, I just set the phone and the gimbal on one of the little like cocktail hour tables that was behind the audience, roughly framed things up. I put on the new 4x lens, and then I picked up my 𝗬𝗧𝗨 and went to grab my main angle shot. I'm really impressed by this new telephoto lens, and even though this is pristine, perfect lighting, if we take a look at this shot from later towards the reception, I still think it handles quite well in low light situations as well. And the thing that I really like here is the ProRes RAW ability to change the ISO after the fact. Now going back to the DOF results footage here, every time I use this DOF adapter, I always get the same comments of like, it's not as sharp as the regular stuff, it's not as this, that, and the other. And yeah, you're absolutely right. One, on the con list, depending what lens you use, depending which iPhone you have or phone in general you have, you'll definitely notice some artifacts that you won't find on a more traditional camera, or at least a solid traditional camera. But this year, I'm noticing it a lot less than previous. And Beastgrip has actually come out with a whole new depth of field adapter. I believe it's called the Photon, and it's actually gonna be in an upcoming video, so make sure you're subscribed for that. And apparently that one's even better, but this DOF Mark III that you and I can buy when it's in stock, I think looks amazing. It is crazy stylized, and obviously I'm adding a pretty stylized LUT on top of it. This is not a setup for your average person who wants a super clean and everything is ultra sharp and regular colors sort of vibe person. This is a setup for someone who wants to really experiment and see how far they can take your phone footage. I think people continue to kind of misunderstand where the iPhone should be represented in the filmmaking world. And I think this wedding was a good representation of it. Can you shoot a whole wedding on just an iPhone? Yes. I actually did it for my cousin's wedding last year. I was just a guest at her wedding, and then I realized that she had hired photographers but no one to do video, and I'm like, you know what, whatever. And so I just pulled out my phone, no gimbals, all handheld shots, nothing planned because that's not what I was there for, and I ended up shooting and editing a little cute wedding for her, and I think it turned out pretty good. Now when it comes to being hired to film a video, it is not going to be my A cam, but I think it works great as a B cam, definitely as a C cam. There's a lot of shots from this wedding that I would not have gotten if I wasn't using an iPhone. For example, this shot where the bride is just like dancing like a crazy person, of course, she could have grabbed the shot on her own phone, but I was able to set, hey, let me turn on OpenGate, let me put Apple Log, put it to professional settings, strip all the gear away, just hand her the phone and be like, hey, aim this at yourself and dance around for a minute. And those are the type of shots that are going to stand out from the traditional stuff, but it's still professional enough to where I can color grade it, I can make it match with the rest of the video so that it doesn't just come out like, oh, that person just sent me a crappy phone clip from the wedding and now I have to make it match my more professional cameras. The iPhone is a different tool for a different purpose, but in the same arena as the rest of the cameras on the market. But as always, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.